Hey guys, my name is Justin. Hello and welcome to a brand new YouTube channel. If you recognize my voice and the really stupid way I talk, you probably are familiar with Eckhart's Ladder, which is a channel that I run full-time. It's based on Star Wars and Halo and science fiction generally, but you may also recognize me from X2, which is another channel that I run focused on gaming, but also with quite a heavy science fiction emphasis. So this is the first video on a new channel, obviously, that I initially thought of calling X3, but I also had some other interesting names either that I came up with or suggested to me: Eckhart's Chatter, Eckhart's High Horse, Explains, all of those, as you guys might be guessing, kind of pointing to the fact that this is going to be a sort of commentary channel. Now, I was definitely a bit hesitant to make a commentary channel, and I want to explain all of this so you guys kind of know what to expect moving forward, because this is my first video. If you want to skip directly to the content in the title, I'll try to link that down in the description. But I was a bit sort of thoughtful about doing this and a bit hesitant. As somebody on YouTube, I know what YouTube is like. I know what YouTubers are like. I've seen commentary YouTubers before. And to be honest, this is something that maybe I'll talk about and explore more on this channel. I'm someone who suffers from anxiety, especially anxiety related to things online. I don't handle conflict very well. When I get in situations like that, I can actually feel my heart start to just go crazy. I start getting really cold. Just, I'm sure you guys know what anxiety is. So when making this YouTube channel, especially knowing that this is never going to be something that, or I suspect will never be something that makes any appreciable amount of money, I wanted to make sure that this is something that I got more good out of than bad. So with that in mind, the kind of content that I make on this channel is not going to be reactionary. It's certainly not going to be stuff focused on drama or attacking other people, certainly not my fellow YouTubers. Now, there may be cases where I talk about something related to YouTube or even YouTubers, but one of my promises to you guys starting out, if you guys want to come with me on this process of making this new channel and maybe community in the future, is I'm not going to promise to be positive, and I'm going to promise to be myself. I'm going to promise to treat other people like people and to try to take a reasonable approach to everything we discuss, which I think is something that commentary channels are doing a lot now. I think the days of bullying people on YouTube, which was certainly something popular, a few years ago, not saying it doesn't happen now, but I think those days are sort of behind us a little bit. At least the popularity has waned. YouTube has cracked down on that for good or for bad, and there's a lot I can talk to you guys about being a YouTuber if you're interested. The content has changed, and I kind of just want to do stuff that makes me happy. So that's what you can expect for content, or at least that's what you can expect not to see. You can also expect for me not to kind of cover stuff on this channel that I would ordinarily cover on either X2 or Eckhart's Ladder. So don't expect a lot of Star Wars gaming news, or probably gaming news generally. Don't expect much about science fiction or maybe even entertainment. Like I maybe eventually we'll do movie reviews on here or something. But for now, I want to kind of keep it very, very different. I probably also won't get too political. I certainly won't be a politically minded channel. That being said, maybe occasionally there's stuff that I do want to talk about. I was a lawyer in my past life, and there are lots of interesting, this is one of the most interesting legal times ever. I'm certainly not going to jump into American politics. I'm Canadian, as many of you guys know. I'm not going to make videos advocating for a certain, outright for a certain political point of view. But one thing that I did earlier, I guess it was last year actually, maybe, on my main YouTube channel, was a video talking about why I think, or I guess a general video comparing the American and Canadian judicial system. Is that boring? Maybe. Is that appropriate for Eckhart's Ladder? No. It went there. A lot of people didn't like it. It was a video I really wanted to make, so I made it. In the future, maybe that's the kind of thing that comes here. But even that is kind of skirting the line for me. I want to focus just kind of sharing my opinions on all the stuff that I see, given the fact that I spend way too much time on the internet as somebody who's always on Twitter and YouTube, and yeah. So those are my thoughts regarding video format. I do eventually want to use a camera. I've got a crappy webcam. I think eventually, as part of my increased efforts into streaming, I'll probably get a full cam setup. To be honest, part of it is also confidence. I'm not a super confident guy. Well, that's not true. I think it's just probably related to the anxiety, and just I'm not used to showing my face on camera. I'm kind of getting used to it in streaming, and that has helped a lot. But that is something that I want to personally work towards, and maybe in a few months from now things will be different. But for now, we're gonna go the old leafy style of recording, although not content, where you guys get some gameplay to watch as I talk about something dumb. So, the topic for today is NFTs, and in particular, the very controversial Chadwick Boseman Oscar head. I mean, that's what it is. It was... Let's talk about NFTs before we get into this exact situation. And I'm going to have to get better at being concise, because I'm doing this all in 1 or 2 takes. So an NFT is a non-fungible token. It's basically an electronic signature on an electronic piece of art that you carry electronically. The best example that I think that illustrates what an NFT is and isn't is probably the most famous example, which is Jack Dorsey's initial tweet. Jack Dorsey created Twitter. Of course, as the creator of Twitter, he put out a tweet very early on. He sold that in NFT form. What does that mean? Well, you get a visual representation of the tweet, and you get evidence that it was sold to you by the artist, in this case, Jack Dorsey. What do you not get? Well, you don't get a physical version of the tweet. You don't get anything physical. It's not like you get an envelope later with the tweet mailed to you, although sometimes physical benefits are also bestowed alongside NFTs. You don't get ownership of Twitter. You don't get ownership of the tweet. Nothing like that. That's a standard NFT. You see videos or images or whatever else. I remember actually before this really blew up, one of my buddies introduced me to a basketball site where essentially they were selling highlights of famous moments in basketball. I'm a pretty big NBA fan, but even then I still didn't really get it, and even most of my buddies who were kind of explaining it to me were talking about it in terms of something of value, not something that they actually wanted to keep. So they were buying these packs because they thought they could make money off of it, not because it's something they wanted to keep. And if you don't understand the value of an NFT, or if you don't understand why someone would buy this, well, you're not alone, and there's not some secret piece of information that will make this all clear. NFTs are just weird, and they sort of go against our traditional understanding of value and cost. And because one of the most controversial aspects of NFTs is we've seen these NFTs sell for sometimes tens of millions of dollars. Beeple, who's quite a famous digital artist, sold I think $30 million worth of NFTs, and again, you're getting nothing real out of that, other than the fact that you've got the digital ownership of something made in something signed, I guess, in a limited amount of times. That being said, you can still look at all of Beeple's art on your own. So the extreme values that people have been getting out of their NFTs have sort of contributed to the general confusion and the general, sometimes even angst or anger towards NFTs, but that really crystallized with kind of the understanding that NFTs cost a lot in electricity because of like how they're stored, and somebody who's more into crypto can do a better job of explaining all this. They essentially have a pretty negative environmental impact, and that's led to a lot of controversy. A lot of artists I've seen, even in the Halo and Star Wars community, have been pressured if they ever release NFTs, which is both fair and also kind of unfortunate, because these individual artists end up getting a lot of the brunt of the anger, which really you have bigger artists who are putting out a lot of work. But I mean, it's also fair because is there really value being generated here? That's the basics of NFTs. The really kind of gross, in my opinion, situation came about a couple of days ago where, what was the word I actually called this? I called it, just trying to go back on Twitter, grim. I mean, this is pretty grim in my opinion. So I'm not going to name the artist because I don't need to contribute to the pretty significant amount of hate they're getting. But this artist was contacted by the Oscars, which, by the way, had their lowest viewership ever, to or at least their lowest viewership of recent years. I mean, I'm not sure how that would have worked back when there were less TVs. But anyway, the Oscars commissioned this guy to make essentially a digital bust of Chadwick Boseman, which was sold, as all NFTs are. I don't know what the final purchase price was. I don't think it was finished. We'll talk about that later. But as of a couple of days ago, the artist put out an update saying that the buy now price for the NFT is $1.2 million, which he says, I want to stress the importance of that because at this price point, I want to stress the importance of that because this is a price point that a black artist in the NFT has not been able to break yet. We have the opportunity to create real history with this piece. And I mean, that's one way to put it. I think it's great that more people are making money off NFTs, that black artists and that other artists of, other races, is because, there definitely were some really prominent white artists early on, but it's good that there are artists of other races. But I mean, I also think that's a pretty self-serving way to describe the fact that you're making a shitload of money off this NFT. Now, I will say one positive aspect of this is the fact that 50% of the proceeds were being donated to the Colon Cancer Foundation, and that amount of money would have provided 10,000 colorectal exams to underserved communities. I mean, that's a phenomenal initiative, especially where Chadwick did die. I think it was, I'm assuming it was colon cancer, some form of cancer anyway, especially at a young age. Just a really tragic thing. So that's a great aspect of the story, and one that I do think does redeem the artist quite a bit. Although other artists were contacted with 100% of the proceeds going to charity, but from my understanding, that's something the Oscars changed. Don't want to get too far into the details there. The real controversy came, though, when it was found out that the basis of this art piece, Chadwick Boseman's head, which was gold-plated, and really the major point of the art, was actually bought for $50 off of one of those 3D sketch sites. And you see tons of those sites, SketchUp, Sketchfab. They serve a really important purpose because artists can make these models and sell them, and then people who just don't have time to model something as part of a larger project can buy it for usually a pretty low price and then buy the rights to use it. And this is something we've also seen Beeple do. Isn't his name Beeple? Yeah, Beeple, who sold like the $10 or $30 million worth of art. He was making daily art, so a lot of what he was doing was essentially just reassembling 3D models. And I think there's an interesting discussion to be had there about the artistic merit of that. You can make an argument for and against. I think as long as you can produce something that can stand on its own, I think that's fine, but that's probably a discussion for another video. So this was sort of the perfect storm, though, of NFT controversy, because in my opinion, you were essentially taking something that was at a base price of $50 and inflating it by several orders of magnitude by the NFT process and by the fact that it was being sold in connection with this big hoity-toity event, the Oscars. But the real sort of what I would call a gross element of this is that an individual is making this incredible amount of money based largely because Chadwick Boseman is dead. Like, let's be honest, this is an NFT that is selling so well, or that will sell well, or that would have sold well because Chadwick Boseman is dead. The art itself, I mean, it's based largely, like 50% of the thing is a photo, is a retextured $50 model. So the difference in value is something that a lot of people are pointing out. And like I said, it's just sort of the perfect storm because there already was that feeling that NFTs are a strange value proposition where you're getting essentially nothing because you're getting nothing real. But in this case, it's kind of brought to the next level because not only are you not getting anything physical, but the underlying artistic process is brought into question when the majority of the thing is based on a $50 model that anyone could have bought off Sketchfab or SketchUp or wherever it was hosted. And then you get the Chadwick Boseman thing. Like, I don't know. I'm sure they talked to Chadwick's family about this, but if this were me or if this were my husband or wife or whoever, like, I would feel really gross about this. I would feel really bad about somebody earning $600,000 at least off of the head of my family member. Like, that just feels weird. Whether it was a statue or an NFT or whatever, I think that would feel gross. Yeah, it feels weird when the person's alive even. But when they're dead, especially where it feels like it's a bit based on the fact that this is the Oscar after he died. Yeah. There's also the fact that the Oscars too got accused, I think quite reasonably, of appropriating Chadwick's death for views, essentially. So for those who don't know, the Oscar usually has a pretty well-defined format where it's Best Actress, then Best Actor, then Best Picture. This year, however, things were changed where it was Best Actress, then Best Picture, and then Best Actor, which was a category that Chadwick Boseman was nominated for, I think, twice. So a lot of people assumed because Best Actor was moved to the end of the show that it would serve as a goodbye to Chadwick Boseman, that he would win the Oscar, and that it would just be a way to honor him. But turns out Chadwick Boseman did not win, Anthony Hopkins won. So a lot of people essentially felt like they were clickbaited into thinking that Chadwick Boseman was going to be getting this big honorific at the end. Not saying at all that Chadwick Boseman needs to win the category because he died, or that Anthony Hopkins wasn't deserving. From what I understand, Anthony Hopkins was very deserving. I haven't seen any of the movies at discussion here, but it's not good. All of this is not good. All of this left me like, I actually felt kind of queasy when I saw this. Like, when I saw this NFT and the price that it was being sold for, and the fact that I could look and see the animation for free and in the comments, I actually felt just gross. Which is why I want to talk about this for my first video and why I made this big tweet about it. There is an update though. As of, I think today, I'm recording this on really the end of the 26th. I think it was about afternoon today. It was discovered or announced that the NFT in its current form would not be sold. So there's something good there. The Deadline had an article pointing out that because of the backlash online, the artist apologized. He said he recognizes that Chadwick's face is a triggering reminder of his death rather than his life. To me, that's not really the issue. That is part of the issue. It is kind of morbid, to be honest. Like, if you look at the thing, it's literally like just his head floating over a thing. But to me, that's not really the biggest issue. Though it was certainly an element. There was a lot more to it beyond just that. Anyway, he announced that the image would be redesigned and that he would still be donating 50% of the funds to the Colon Cancer Foundation to fund their invaluable work with cancer research and testing. So is this good? I mean, I don't know. It's better. I guess it'll be better if it, from a value standpoint, I think people will feel better if they see that a lot of the design wasn't based off a $50 image of Chadwick's head. But I mean, and part of the issue with that too that I didn't really discuss is we do see this, like, the reason why I'm familiar with these sketchfab sites is because Star Wars comic book artists frequently will use existing art, and they'll often use it uncredited and traced, which is a whole nother can of worms. If you buy the rights to it, you can do whatever you want. But the problem is, a lot of the time, the art is based around what's easily accessible. So it's like, was this really the artist's vision, or was this what was easily available when he searched up Chadwick Boseman 3D model? Like, I think that's the interesting question. And that's one of the problems that I have when I see somebody else's work and some easily accessible and very cheap work being the center of a big artistic piece. It's like there's always the question of whether you're sacrificing your vision to do what's easy. There was some more controversy with allegations that this NFT was somehow being included in Oscar's gift bags, like on a flash drive or like a digital code. I don't even know exactly what this means. But that's really all of it, and that's kind of my thoughts and everything. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about Chadwick's face being an NFT, how you feel about NFTs in general, how you feel about this situation, and how this could be fixed, if it can be fixed at all. But guys, that's all for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll join me for the journey we take on this channel. That's really cheesy. It won't be a journey. It'll hopefully be more than a few videos. No promises. Until next time though, guys, have a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe, and I'll see you next time.